It's not so much that it's disappointing, it's more so that it just treats you like you're an absolute moron.
Ooh, that's a hot mug, guy.
With 28 years later very much around the corner, I wanted to review the two original films, 28 Days Later, which is a fantastic piece of low-budget horror cinema. One of the best infected movies of all time. Danny Boyle and Alex Garland came together and made something truly unique and truly phenomenal. Now, the sequel only had Danny and Alex Garland in small parts. Alex was only a producer, and Danny actually did direct the opening scene, or he assisted directed with it, and it's why it's still really good. All the complaints you're going to hear about this movie aside, the opening sequence is still the best part of this entire movie. It encapsulates the idea of the 28 Days Later universe perfectly in terms of hiding in broad daylight being terrifying because of these things. The idea of fending for yourself above all else, of losing whatever humanity you have to outrun your neighbors, your family, your friends, your wife, everything. I love that. I love that morality bit of it. The intensity of the opening scene is very well done. But then everything, and I quite literally mean everything after that, goes down the tubes. If I can say the good parts of this movie, I did enjoy how they try to keep it still with a more on-the-ground kind of filming technique with a lot of handycam, a lot of close-up security cameras, stuff that made it feel like the first film, but maybe a little bit adapted, whereas Danny Boyle used, at the time, kind of low-end digital cameras. This one, obviously, they went up a little bit in terms of their qualities, and the premise of this film isn't a bad idea. Britain slowly being repopulated with the infected having starved out, the US military coming in to try and help people reassimilate with the entire town. They're taking precautions for the most part. There is Rose Byrne off to the side saying, well, what happens if it comes back? And Idris is like, yeah, we're just gonna kill everything. And he's not wrong in that. And when we see Robert Carlyle, who quite literally ran out for milk and never came back, he's meeting with his kids and he's telling them so much what he said that what happened, but not really, which leads to the kids kind of going on a little bit of an adventure. And somehow, out of all of the possibilities of every building that they could have fucking gone into, they find the one that there's mums in. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't a MacGuffin of any sort, but having gone through London a couple of times in my life, the idea of her being in this one building out of all the buildings that there are in London, and they just so happen to find it, this is kind of how it goes. It gives you this first, like, little hook of, well, maybe this could happen, and then everything else that proceeds to that does that, but then multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. Because somehow, Robert Carlyle is able to see his wife when she's hooked up and all strapped in. This woman came out of the quarantine zone, and a guy who is a civvy, who, yes, has a card that they show, oh yeah, I help run the city. You had a thing for a door, bro. You do not have access to military grounds. Everything's basically being like a quarantine zone. And on top of that, there's no one watching her. No one's in the room, and that's where it starts. Once the infection starts, that's when the movie already has got me on edge, because I have to swallow this giant buffet of stupid bullshit to accept that this is happening. Is the scene absolutely phenomenally brutal when he does turn? Absolutely. He is manifesting that guilt and that hatred that his wife lived into how she dies. I think that's why it's so brutal, is because you were supposed to be dead. You were my guilt washed, but now that you're back, that's why I feel the infected version of him is so brutal in that scene. It's either that or he got fucking Michael Myers powers, because Robert Carlyle in this movie is a fucking super zombie. He is one of the biggest reasons why I don't like this movie once he kills the wife. This man is able to zoom through buildings, able to attack guards who all are in the one-by-one Ubisoft villain mode, who also don't get back up. If any of you notice, when Idris Elba comes to the room to see what happens, there's two who are dead on the ground, who he clearly bit. So what? Is there a deleted scene where they came in and killed them? This is where the inconsistency of the movie already starts. Once the infection starts to spread through London, there's just so many fucking problems that arise. So obviously once the infection's out, they have to lock everything down. So why is it that in the infinite wisdom of the military that they decide to move everyone out of their apartments where they could be locked in and secured? That way they put them into an underground buffet, turn off all the lights, and don't bother to securely lock one door, which just so happens to be the one that Dawn comes into. And then that's how everything comes out. And then the infection spills out. Jeremy Renner, who is one of the snipers overwatching the town, is seeing the chaos unfold, and he's having to shoot the zombies, but he also notices the kids and Rose Bryan and think about helping them. Also, this is another part. There's snipers who are on top of buildings, high up buildings, and then somehow the infected who are on the ground wanting to kill everyone who's in front of them all of a sudden are like, hey, let me go up these incredibly fast flight of stairs up this building. Like, they just find these things. There's just too much chaos happening for it to be believable. These zombies are getting up to the top of buildings when they were literally just on the ground like 10 seconds ago. It keeps going because once he hooks up with the kids, the whole idea is that he's going to go and find his chopper buddy. The chopper that seems to have an infinite amount of fucking fuel, because this guy is in the air at night and he is also still in the air as dusk breaks. How much fuel is in this fucking helicopter? After the initial infection, it's not as bad for the most part. It gets a little bit less stupid. I like Renner and them having to get out of the city before the bombs drop. The means and how the military is just like, yeah, we had to kill everyone. This is actually pretty smart. Like, everything they're doing is right. It just so happens that the plot is against them. Somehow, despite the fact that these fire bombings are going around buildings and we see it, it gets into the fucking area where infected wife was. Somehow it doesn't go around the corner where Robert Carlyle is able to do his Michael Myers thing. This is what I mean. This man is able to survive so many elements that should have killed him. And when he is in moments of threat, he has to stand off to the side dramatically before he comes over. Oh, there he is, turn, look away, come back, he's gone again. Or manifesting this sort of stalker error about him before he attacks, despite the fact that everything that we have seen that is established about the infected is that they are based on rage, and they will attack first and attack second and attack third, and they don't have any other ideas after that. Now, I know that in 28 years later there is going to be this evolution of the infected, but it's been years. And yes, the mom, technically speaking, has an immunity to it because of her gene cells, and so does the kid. And that I'm okay to believe, because there would of course be an abnormality. And even then, people who were killed, not everyone would have turned into infected. Some would have just been literally beaten to death, like poor wifey. There's so many moments in this film where I just can't believe that the film is trying to take itself seriously, or trying to give me something that's like, oh, okay, yeah, that checks out. It goes to Walking Dead level of stupidity for a good long bit of the movie. And it's unfortunate because there are ideas in here that are great. The idea of a military complex being overconfident and thinking that they can hold back literal nature, in a sense, sort of biological nature. The idea of a father turning into a monster and hunting down his own children, that is great. The idea of a military person going against the orders to help people out of the city. The idea of basically chaos being inevitable. These are all good concepts, but the story doesn't check. There's too many laps of logic. There's too many moments where you have to literally turn your fucking brain off to accept what is happening on the screen in front of you. And it feels like that's how it was for these people who made this movie too, because the last shot pisses me off too. I hate this. Not only because it was quite literally the last thing they did. They had actually not filmed this scene yet. They were just at the very end of editing, and then the director decided to go out to Paris, hire 12 people, and have them run in front of the camera. That is it. That is your fucking thing. That wasn't some grand plan by the director and the writer. No, they literally thought, hey, that'll be cool to throw it in the last minute. It's so stupid that 28 years later is basically absconding that, because they realize how fucking dumb it is. Like, how on earth does it get across the channel anyways? The tunnel would have been destroyed. So what, do these things take that Monty Python jumping the English Channel bit seriously? And they think that these zombies are just raw across? 28 Weeks Later is one of the most disappointing sequels I believe I've ever seen. The opening, again, is the best part of this movie. If all I had to watch was the opening, I'd be fine with that. And there are some other moments throughout this film that do have a little bit of genuine, scare. But you have to stomach so much dumb shit. Obviously, in all forms of zombie movies, there are people who are dumb characters. There are people who make bad decisions. There are inconsistencies that happen. But this film, one final, stupid bullshit about this movie, you'll notice that when they're trying to escape the firebombing, you see Big Ben in the corner behind them, right? And they're trying to escape. But then, once they get past the fire, they get past the nerve gas, they are then on the opposite side of the river that they were the first time. There's Big Ben. Quite literally, where they are, according to the logic of this movie, should be fucking firebombed. And it's not like, I can see it, maybe it's obscurely in the distance. No, Big Ben's right fucking off in the background. I understand that you only have so much room to film when you have to cordon off areas for filming and stuff like this. Just don't show Big fucking Ben in the background. You did it really clearly when they were leaving, and now they're back apparently on the other side or near the stadium, and there's Big Ben in the background. Come on! 28 Weeks Later is a movie that I continue to argue with people about. I know there will be some of you in the comment section who like this movie. And you are absolutely entitled to your opinion, even if I think it's wrong. I don't understand how you can like this movie, but I do know that there are a lot of people who also could stomach The Walking Dead in its entirety. So, be that as it may, I am going to give 28 Weeks Later a 2 out of 7. This movie is near on garbage. It has some tiny, tiny gleams of, hey, there's a good idea in here. But I'm very happy that these guys never got to touch anything 28 Weeks Later again. And even then, look at their careers. Their careers kind of went nowhere. If it was as good as some people who are diehard lovers of this movie say it is, then that would have been reflected with what happened with them in some regard. I'm not saying they'd be big fucking stars, but they would at least done more than what they've done. And that, to me, kind of just exemplifies just how very fucking mediocre this movie is. In the end, those are my thoughts. I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. I just don't like this movie. I have given it multiple chances over the years. I have had the same fucking end result feeling about it every time I've seen it. And I've watched this movie 7 times in the last decade and a bit. And I still come to the same conclusion. It's ass. Anyways, that's all from me, guys. See you later.